Hey guys, welcome back to Guy Stuff. Today we've got another really easy and favorite recipe of mine. I'm going Italian this week. Now, Fettuccini Alfredo is my favorite Italian meal. Every time I go somewhere new, it's pretty much the first thing I've got to try. What you put in it is completely up to you. I really love it plain. Today I'm just going to do it with shrimp, but you can put anything you can really think of in it. Chicken, shrimp, mussels, clams, scallops, lobster, whatever. But shrimp Fettuccine Alfredo, that's a real good basic. It's really easy to do. This recipe here, and I'll put the ingredients on the main site, so if you're viewing this on YouTube, just head on over to cigarobsession.com and you can find this, and I'll start putting my recipe lists and anything I cook out of requests from you guys. Now this makes a large batch. I like doing stuff large because, if I'm going to take the time to cook and buy ingredients and all that, I want to enjoy it for a few days. But it's just the two of us here. If you're just cooking for two of you, then feel free to cut this in half and you'll still have 3 to 4 really good meals. But I don't mind leftovers. My wife hates them, but I love them, so I'll be eating this for a few days. Anyway, it's really cheap. The cost just goes up by what you put in it. I'm frugal, but I like really good stuff on occasion. There's only 2 things that really make a big taste difference to the way you do this, and I'll go over those. One of which is the pasta. I do not find any difference in the dry pastas as far as flavors or al dente taste or anything. So feel free to buy the cheapest dry stuff. I get the the Walmart brand. These are like 98 cents a piece. They've got dry stuff that's up to $3 a box. I tried them all. I find absolutely no difference. The only difference in the pasta that I've found is if you can find the fresh refrigerated pasta. Not all stores carry it, unfortunately. More used to carry it around me, but it's kind of hard to find. Anyway, the Walmart here doesn't carry it anymore, unfortunately. But if you do see it, it'll probably be by like the refrigerated dairy section. If you do see refrigerated fresh pasta, feel free to splurge on that. It's not too much more. It's $3 or $4 for a pound worth or so. And that does make a good bit of difference. But this recipe is more about the sauce than anything, so put good ingredients into your sauce and it more than makes up for other stuff. Now as far as what other stuff like seafood you put in it, that does make a big difference. I'm just going, cheap. I'm getting the frozen stuff, nothing fancy. But if you do want to splurge and put all fresh seafoods in it, that makes a huge difference. But man, your cost just skyrockets. You can do this kind of stuff what I'm making today for like $1.50 a plate. You go crazy with fresh seafood, you're up pushing $30. It's just crazy. So anyway, today, like I said, I'm doing the shrimp. The only difference to this, if you're going to do it plain, is what you're starting with. I'm using a stick of butter and I'm going to be just lightly sauteing this. This is pre-cooked shrimp. If you're doing raw, you're just going to saute it a little bit longer. I'm basically just reheating these and getting ready. They're going to totally warm up as we cook the sauce. So I'm going to start those with a stick of butter here. I got a pot of water here that's on its way to boiling. It takes quite a while. It's about 1.5 gallons in there. And I've always been of the opinion that no matter how much pasta you're making, you do a bare minimum of 1 gallon of water, even if it's just a little single serving mac and cheese. Start with 1 gallon of water. We're going to crank that up, let the butter melt. We're going to get our shrimp I won't even say sauteing because they're cooked. Warming, I'll say. And these have the tails on. They're thawed enough where I can easily remove them now. It's really up to you if you want to do them now or later. I prefer to do them ahead of time because, kind of a pain in the butt when they're in sauce or on your plate or whatnot. So I'm going to do that as I toss them in here. Let me get through that, and then we'll pick up when I'm done. Alright, our shrimp is semi-sauteed. Nice and warm. Got the butter and whatever bits of water and ice was in there reduced a little bit. So now what we want to do is take the shrimp out. We're going to save the butter because this is our base of our sauce. Oh, it smells good. It just smells like shrimp scampi. Alright. Shrimp's out. We've got our water, which should be at a boil. I've got a couple tablespoons of salt in the water with the pasta. Yep, that's ready. Alright, now we're going to put our pasta in and make the sauce at the same time. Both very easy to do. Check your box of the pasta, whatever it wants for ideal cook time. They're all a little different. And let's see, this one wants 11 to 12 minutes. So we'll set it for 11, give it a check. I'm going to put 2 pounds in. Just going to let that go. Now for the sauce, we're going to start with, if you're going to use a fresh, whatchamacallit, garlic, put at least a couple cloves in. I don't mind at all using a big heaping teaspoon or tablespoon of this fresh minced. Very good stuff, extremely inexpensive, so much easier to cook with. 99% of the flavor I get fresh. I really love this stuff. I'm just going to saute that in the butter for a minute. Let it start to reduce down. Remember to have your heat on a good medium. You don't want this burning. And you do want to use a fairly large pan. You don't want to use a pot. You don't want to roil and boil for your sauces. Obviously you don't need a huge one like this if you're having a recipe, but it's nice to have. Alright, we're going to throw in a little bit of salt. Good teaspoon worth. And again, we're cooking, so we're using the fine salt, not the coarse, like we do for barbecue. And pepper to taste, I would start with about a half teaspoon. See how you like it. The sauce really isn't about the pepper and the spices, it's about the creams. So this is just the taste. I just like a good dab in there. You need 1 cup of heavy cream. Stir this in. You don't want the milk burning at all. Make sure nothing's sticking to the bottom. Whenever you're cooking with dairy products, you really have to be mindful. Make sure they don't burn. Get some really acidic tastes. Alright, now we need 1 cup of whole milk. Some people use all cream, some people use all milk. I find a 50-50 mixture gives me a far better texture. It's thick enough to stick on the pasta, but thin enough where it doesn't feel like you're just eating a whole bunch of sauce. And the thinner the sauce is, the more it coats whatever you put in the pasta too. So it'll really go in all the nooks and crannies of any kind of seafood or chicken. Alright, that's going to come up to temp nicely. Now the cheese. Alfredo is really simple. Oops, I forgot to set the timer for the pasta. Let's see, it's been in 4 minutes, so we're going to set it for 7. Alright. Give the pasta a quick stir. Just want to make sure the pasta doesn't stick to the bottom and burn it all. Other than that, just let it go. One little piece stuck here. Go. Alright. Cream's coming up to temp. Now the cheese. You've got basically 2 options. You can go the absolute cheapest way and just use a can of grated Parmesan like you buy for your spaghetti or whatnot. And that's okay. I mean, it gives you a decent flavor, but to really do it right, you want to get shaved Parmesan from the cheese section. And I have about 16 ounces here of it, 3 of these packages, 5 ounces each, close enough. They offer this in grated or shaved. There's no point in buying the grated, really. Sometimes it costs more. The point is you want it to be fresh, real cheese. Really gives it the best flavor. Okay, I need a knife. We're just going to dump this in. Melt it in the sauce. And again, you want to keep stirring. As soon as you start doing this, any kind of dairy products can burn really quickly. That's already getting gooey and melted. Let's put the other 2 in. Oh man, it smells good already. Five-minute warning on the pasta. Should be just about perfect. If you do it like this, you'll end up with everything ready to go as soon as the pasta's done. So you should have people ready to eat. Garlic bread coming out of the oven. Whatever you plan on doing. So again, just quickly stir this in. You just want the cheese to melt and incorporate. The last thing we're going to throw in is not really important. It's more of a visual garnish. Doesn't add much flavor, and that's parsley. But it's nice to have a little bit of greenery. Otherwise, you just have a white sauce with a little bit of pepper flecks. So just keep stirring. Cheese is now melting. It'll incorporate with the milk and the heavy cream and the butter as it goes. You can smell the garlic coming up. It's starting to really warm up now. Turn your heat down to low if you start seeing it boil. Obviously, using a good pan, any kind of newish non-stick pan is going to be good for any kind of cream sauce. Stainless steel is great too. I just don't happen to have very many small stainless steel stuff. They're all fairly big pots. But cheaper pots and pans, you're going to be hating life if you do a lot of cooking with cheeses and dairy products. Alright, I'm going to keep stirring this. We've got 4 minutes left on the timer. And this is just going to sit here and incorporate while the pasta is getting ready. I'm going to toss the parsley on right at the end, and we'll be ready for it all to come together. See you in a minute. 2 minutes left on the timer here. It's time to put in the shrimp. If you see any liquid in the bowl, if you transfer it like this, don't put the liquid in. You don't need it. It's just butter that hadn't separated yet. All we're going to do here is warm the shrimp back up, let it pull in some of the flavor while we wait for the pasta. Keep stirring it. Again, heat still on low. This is just going to go and come together. It's starting to get a little bit thicker, but not too thick. I like it kind of on the runny side. And again, if you want a more traditional, this is a garlic shrimp Alfredo. If you want it more traditional, just use 1 clove or omit it completely. You'll end up with a much whiter sauce. This has kind of an off cream color to it, and that's from the garlic. A little bit from the butter, but mostly the garlic. But I love garlic. This isn't overpowering. I mean, if you like garlic, you'll love this. It's not like it reeks of garlic or anything. But if you don't like garlic, do not do it this way. Alright, about a minute left. Got my colander ready. There we go. So the pasta should be done. Let's give it a test. Not quite. Not quite. Definitely at least another minute. It's close. A little chewy. You always want to taste test your pasta. Don't just go blindly off the box. Cooking times do vary. It's the nature of cooking. Alright. Now, depending on how you are going to serve this, there's a couple easy ways to do it. One, we can shut off the heat to our sauce so that it's done and ready. Got a great consistency. One way is to drain the pasta to get it completely dry. That's very important. You want to run it through a colander, put it into a bowl, put it back in the original pot, whatever you want to do there, but make sure it's dry pasta. Shake it off completely. Because water just dilutes the flavors and everything. You can put it right into the pan here, toss it, plate it up. That's one way to do it. And really depends on what you're putting in the pasta, or in the sauce I should say, if that's a good way to do it. Wouldn't be bad here. All we've got is shrimp. They're small shrimp, they're easy, they're going to toss well into the fettuccine, and you can just, plate it easily that way. Or if you've got big stuff, if you're doing, lobster tails or a bunch of big scallops or something like that, plate the pasta, spoon individual servings of seafood, pour the sauce over it on the plate. That's the way to go for more refined look or anything that's going to be difficult. But because this is easy, I'm just going to put it right into this pan, and it's obviously a large pan. It's about 3 inches deep. It's a great pan to use. Very versatile. Definitely recommend everyone picking up something like this if you're into cooking. Does all kinds of stuff. Alright. Now our pasta should be done well enough. I'm going to drain it here. Be right back. Alright, got the pasta drained. Now we can just dump it right into the sauce. And again, this obviously feeds a large family. Just want to toss it in. Get the pasta coated. As you can see, it's sticking very nicely to the noodles. Get a nice cream coat. Also to the shrimp. It's not running off, but it's not just making huge globby cream mess like you would get with using all heavy cream. Some shrimp in there. I like to hide on the side. Beautiful. Alright. Now just a little garnish of parsley. Like I said, you can do garlic bread with this. Bread and olive oil. Whatever you like. There you go. Garlic shrimp fettuccine Alfredo. Easy, very inexpensive. Play around with the ingredients. You can make all kinds of sweet recipes with this really cheap. Thanks for watching, guys. Stuff. We'll see you next time. Good.